all the noble words you said when you get down to the bottom get down to the bottom get down to the bottom.
All right, good people. As you can tell, it's been a bit of laughter and smiling, a good bit of frustration on my end, just a tidbit. There was a few technical difficulties, but we are super excited to have the attorney extraordinaire.
Appreciate it.
I didn't know if he was gonna dap me up. Hold on.
I thought he was presenting me like an award, like yeah.
But before we jump in, just super excited about another in-studio session with Ronnie Rice here. Mm-hmm. I'm not even going to attempt to introduce you. How would you want the folks to know just who you are and just, Ronnie Rice? Tell us about you.
Man, if you need you in a wreck, get a check. Call me Ronnie Rice. No, man, I would say just a man for the community, love his family, obviously highly educated, but, I'm big on, keeping good people around you. But yeah, I'm a lawyer. I have a general practice. I do it all, baby.
First of all, this man said, if you get in a wreck and you need a check, call Ronnie.
Hey, I've been practicing that all night in the shower, man. I read it by my trainer. He said it was cool, man. It's not cool. It's not cool. Okay, all right.
It's short enough. You know what I'm saying? If it was like something you got to take a deep breath, right, you get in a wreck, you need a check, call Ronnie. Right. And then your name ain't like 15 syllables.
Yeah,
that helps. So where are you from?
So a little background about me. I'm originally from Pritchard, Alabama, which is down in Mobile County. Grew up one of 5 kids. Went to college at Morehouse College, and with the grad schools, master's, PhD at Regent University.
Oh, y'all saw how he just master's and PhD.
Yeah.
So you got your master's and your PhD.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Had to do those comps and defend the dissertation and all that stuff. And then went to law school here at Birmingham, Fairfield, actually, which is only a few minutes from the office here.
Yep.
And Birmingham has grabbed hold to me, or they just paid me a lot of money. But we go with that. The other one sounds more home and welcoming.
That's right. So that's good. So Alabama, born and raised, ultimately got your master's and your PhD. So in your trajectory to get your go to law school, did you know you were going to get your master's and PhD along the way, or is that something that kind of naturally happened?
Well, that's interesting. So while I was at Morehouse, there was this program called Ronnie McNair program. If anybody know about Ronnie McNair, he's one of the African American individuals who died in the plane crash. The shuttle crash, the Challenger crash, and he was a scientist. So they developed a program named after him, and it was actually slated to go to for PhD programs. But because of my history, my family history, I have an older brother who served a life sentence in prison for murder, and I've always had an interest in law. So from that standpoint, I always had, even though I was going through that program at Ronnie McNair program, which is a PhD program, I kind of always had that love for law in the bottom of my heart. Because let's just call a spade. For minorities,
Yep.
They don't get the same quality of service as other people.
That's right. That's a fact. It's an incredible trigger. And when we think about the leaders in different capacities, different industries, whenever you see their conviction or their commitment towards that problem they're solving, usually it's something that ticked them off. Usually it's like some issue or injustice that you witness that says, all right, no, hold on. Let me make sure I equip myself with these tools to make sure that none of this continues.
Absolutely.
Or we can really just eliminate it. Mm-hmm. All right. So law school transition, typically out of law school, you're trying to find somewhere where to land. So how did that transition happen?
So my first gig was with a solo practitioner, Reginald McDaniel, which is a local Birmingham attorney. And then I went to Alexander Chenard.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute now. Yeah. So if you breathe,
in anywhere in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, you're going to hear
Alexander Shinar.
Yeah.
If you're driving and you just happen to, you know what, that's a nice bird. Oh, that's an Alexander Shinar sign.
Right.
If you're watching TV,
Yep.
that's an Alexander Shinar commercial. So there is a lot of notoriety with this firm and this practice.
Absolutely.
So that may have, was that an exciting deal at the time? Or
So, I mean, Alex, man, is just a giving person, big-hearted person, and just like me and Coop, we laugh and kick it and stuff like that. That's the same thing that Alex and I do as well. So when I started, I actually just wanted to see kind of how he operated. So I actually just went and volunteered for him for a couple of days.
wow.
And he was like, "Who are you?" I said, "Man, I'm just here to volunteer. Just want to learn. That's it." I was in law school. So the program that law school I went to is you work full time and then you go to law school at night, which is my school of law here in Fairfield. And so with that, Alice was like, man, after, so much time, Alice was like, man, you still here? It's like, yeah, man, whatever. And so he was like, man, anybody that's willing to come and work for free, I got to give him some type of position. So he just, he made me a legal assistant to a good dear friend of mine, Ross Massey. He's in Georgia now, Athens, Georgia, because he's a Georgia fan, which we ain't gonna hold that to him. But and so that's how I got my start with Shinar.
Now that's fascinating. I think that there's definitely multiple lessons in that, but just you committing to say, look, I want to learn.
Yeah.
And learning created the appetite and the proximity, because there's how many attorneys with Alexander Shinar would you say in total?
Man, I know before I left, I think it was at least 50 or 60.
1,000?
No, 50, 60.
Oh, I was about to say, geez Louise.
Yeah.
It feels like it.
Right. I was about to say, hey, if you want to get anything done, ask a lawyer and get the bill at the end. See how that happens. So.
That's right. So just even the lesson in saying, all right, let me get proximate and learn, and then have the opportunity to have the CEO to say, hey, I like this. All right. Yeah. Well, if you're willing to make this investment and sacrifice, let's keep talking.
Right. And so basically after that legal assistant, I did that probably about a year or two, which I learned a lot from Ross on how to work a case, because Ross came from a big defense firm. So defense firm, he represented basically, I know one of the biggest insurance companies was State Farm.
Okay.
So, I mean, he was trial team at law school, all this stuff. And so he taught me a lot. And then basically Alice and I became close, and basically, he was in the building phase. He's still in this building phase. And he'll just like, hey, Ron, you know anything about this? I'm like, yeah, sure. If I don't know, I'll figure it out.
Right.
And so that basically came to me becoming the firm administrator. So, and which was an incredible opportunity. I think I learned a lot from. As a matter of fact, I've had we met about a month ago in the morning, and he was like, I know you're making all this money, man. Make sure you tell them who taught you the game. So, Alex, I'm telling everybody you taught me the game, okay? This is on record.
That's right.
All right.
That's right. What would you say, and I'm glad you segued into that, what would you say were your two biggest takeaways?
Ooh, man, I learned so much, man, from him and just being in that firm. I'll say, man, one is market.
Yeah.
His famous line is, if they don't know you, they can't hire you.
That's a point. That's a fact.
I think a lot of people, even if it's lawyers or in business or whatever,
right.
I think people say they put all this thought into having this great law firm. They got all these policies, procedures. They got all this. I mean, everything. Nice office desk. All this stuff.
Right.
But it's like, where your clients at? You know what I'm saying? Like, where they at? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, hey, you got to get them in the door one way or another. And if people don't know your name,
right.
The best way to do it, I tell people, and often other people say, social media is your ultimate equalizer. Now, you got people who can run paid ads, but
right.
I mean, paid ads only gonna get so much. But the most thing that I've learned from social media is organic. If you create content and it's organic, where people are sharing it, people connect to it.
Right.
I mean, I got a post I posted me dancing outside the truck, and everybody, blew up over that. I mean, I'm getting
you can
text
dance.
Yeah, man. Hey, man. I'm from the South. Man. I can two-step your thing.
Okay, all right.
Two-step that thing all the way.
Yes, sir. I heard your hips a little tight now. You got to be able to jig a little bit now.
I'm telling you. So that'll be one principle. And I say, I mean, you talking about a lot. I would say the second thing I would say is that I learned is have a big heart. You know, be a man of your word. I can tell you how many times I've seen that man give a lot and give people opportunities, and most of the time, as we all know, a lot of people mess those opportunities up, and you give people money. They act like they don't know you. Your $20 that you gave them become your little $20 when they give it back. You know what I'm saying? Man, hey man, what is $20? Man, here's your little $20. Like, man, what I do? Like, I just like, can I not get my $20 back?
Right.
You know? And and actually I learned this from Gary Vee. You know, Gary Vee made a statement that I was watching a couple of weeks ago. He's just like, some response is not even worthy of responding. And what he means by that, you can have somebody who did you completely wrong, and they all upset, and they're all hooping and hollering and crying or cursing and stuff like that. And you like, you know what? I ain't even going to respond to this. I'm going to keep it moving. And that's kind of how Alex is. I used to get mad about it because I'm like, man, no, man, you yada, 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 yada. I'm like, now I understand. Comes by the time I ain't wasted 20 minutes going off on this guy, man, I can spend that 20 minutes making some money.
That's a fact. What do they say? You know, you don't sow seed on concrete, right? Yeah. And so it's very difficult to be able to have a conversation with someone, especially if they're not willing to accept what you're trying to communicate. So that's powerful. So market, right? If they don't know you, they can't call you.
Yeah, and the second thing is have a big heart and give. Just give. Right. And then like, I know we always say this, but give, but don't expect nothing in return. Just don't even. Right. You know, when you giving that, like I gave somebody some money yesterday. I was like, I'm giving him this money. And I'm like, you know, it is what it is.
Right.
You know, but,
right.
Yeah.
That's a really good point, because even as we build businesses, even as we build relationships, as we expand our network, there is going to be you should have a posture to want to do something for someone else and just keep it moving. You know, like, yeah, all right, good, great. And not say, hey, you remember that 8 months ago on Tuesday? Yeah, you had red shorts on. Right. So, hold on, buddy.
Matter of fact, that was Nike shorts, man. You spent that $20 on the shorts, man. Right. I need my money back, man.
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm. So what type of, because, you know, when you speak with any attorney, sometimes their practice may evolve on the service offerings. So where did you start in regards of practicing law, and then what's your sweet spot?
Man, so obviously I started with PI. I mean, that was just
PI. Come on.
Excuse me, personal injury.
Okay.
Personal injury, car wrecks, train wrecks, slip and fell in, Walmart over the water that they always got on aisle number 9.
FYI. All right.
That Walmart on the east side.
Come on now. Hey, that stimulus ain't come through. There go your blessing, right?
Right. There your blessing. Hey. Hello. I would say, so obviously because I just knew it like the back of my hand, man. Right. I know it like the back of my hand. But my practice evolved to business, probate, estate, stuff like that. Because, what people hear when they hear lawyer, you can say I'm a personal injury lawyer or I'm a probate lawyer. Only thing they hear is lawyer. That's it. And man, I've had people call to stun on folks. Man, I'm about to call my lawyer. Hold on for a second. I think they're about to call me on, on person. So I'm like, hey, what's up, man? What's up? He's like, yeah, Ronnie, tell him, man, if they don't move their car, I'm gonna sue them. What? Where you at? At the parking lot of Piggly Wiggly. Man, you don't get off my phone.
Wait a minute.
Man, I've had people call me, hey man, can you send an email? I'm gonna copy you on it, just respond. What? I'm telling you, man, I get a lot of requests, but hey,
I love it.
It is what it is.
That's right.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, well, and it's a good point, because also when it pertains to law is everywhere, right? Like with everything that we do, from when we get into our car all the way to communicating a particular contract, starting a business, to, hey, I feel like you ain't following the rules. Right. Let me call my guy.
Right. I'm telling you, they call too, which is a blessing, because I know a lot of lawyers, man, are hungry, and I'm fully staffed. They're in Birmingham. They're not some call center. Well, I actually did just put a call center, because y'all be calling about some weird stuff. So we got to filter y'all out. You know what I'm saying? But I would say, for me, my my tagline of my law firm is Motivation Law and Business, MLB, Motivation Law and Business. And people are like, man, what does motivation business have to do with law? Well, for me, is I get to see people when they're at their weakest point or their most tender point. So let's say personal injury, somebody get hit by 18-wheel.
Right.
You know, they're like, man, what do I do? Like, you know, where do I go? What about the car? And what about
let's go through that. I'm glad you that's a perfect segue. Mm-hmm. So someone is driving and they playing the new Boosie.
right. Talking about Boosie go hard.
Yeah, that's right. That means the music's all the way up.
Right.
But in some level of a situation and a mishap, they get into a car accident. 18-wheeler, could be a corporate truck that hits them. They get hit. They come to. I'm okay. What's next?
So most of the time you get hit by 18-wheeler, your only thought is call 911 and go to the hospital. I tell people all the time, man. First of all, always go to the hospital, man. Just go.
Even if you feel okay, still go.
Go to the hospital because you can have internal bleeding. You can have something because it's such a shock that you might have something broken inside. You're not even thinking of it. You just probably thinking, man, Lord, thank the Lord I can get out this car or something like that.
That's a good point.
The next thing I always tell people, man, call a lawyer. Just call a lawyer, especially on a personal injury case, because the initial consultation is going to be free. Okay. Most personal injury, I would say 99% of personal injury cases are contingency fee, which means they don't get paid unless you get paid. Okay. So it doesn't hurt you to make a call. You know, if it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 30 hours, you ask, go ahead and call that lawyer after you call 911. Get that lawyer on the phone. Now, here's the thing. Most folks, most of these big law firms don't have somebody you can call. So that's why I always make it a point. I try to keep myself as in touch with my client as possible, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. So I try to be very, very responsible because, I've been through this rodeo 1,000 times. Literally, I've handled over 1,000 cases. And to me, it's like, okay, so just got an accident. But to you like, man, this is the first time you ever experienced something like this. So I got to look out for you. So I got to always remind myself, like, hey, man, they're in a vulnerable state, man. So I got to help them out.
Right.
So after you call your attorney, which I pray the Lord is me, 205-222-9815. 205-222-9815. But yeah, I would say that's the, call your lawyer, call me. I'll walk you through and say, hey, this is what you need to do. And the first few days or first few weeks are the critical time, I tell people, because, we're setting up the claim. What we're doing is setting up the claim. What we're doing is talking to you about your medical treatment. I've had people say, oh, man, no, I'm good. No, go to your primary care physician. One of the reasons why I always say go to your primary care physician because they know you better than anybody else. They know if you had some type of disease or if you had some pre-existing condition that an impact like this can affect. And then the next thing I always tell people, always get an MRI. People are like, man, that's so expensive, but X-rays only show so much. It's the reason why you got an X-ray and an MRI. It just is.
Right.
And that's the basic minimum I tell people on the treatment side. Then in regards to getting your car repaired and things of that sort, that's gonna be straightforward. They're gonna give you the price, the value of your car, and then on the medical side, once we get done treating, we'll handle all that stuff on the legal side. But I tell people, you get in a car accident, just 1, make sure everybody's good. 2, call 911. 3, call your lawyer. Those are your 3 things right there.
Perfect. Laid out. So let's talk about the initial consultation. Now, I'll just use us as an example. Typically, when we talk with potential clients about their future endeavors and their finances in the initial consultation, they may share the bells and whistles.
Oh, come on.
And it's great. I love that. Sounds great.
Right.
Now let's get down to the, the meat of it, right? Like let's lift the hood of the car financially and see the engine, the convey, all the stuff that allows you to operate. So in the initial consultation, I got 2 questions. One, how do they assess if they're speaking with the right attorney in the initial consultation? And then 2, how transparent do they need to be to ensure that they get the right response or advice?
That's interesting. Well, I'm going to answer that question. I'm going ahead and say what I got to say about it. Man, y'all call a lawyer, y'all want help. whether it's personal injury, whether it's criminal, whether it's probate. Like, give us as much details it's required to make an assessment on if this is a viable case or that we can even help you. I mean, I can't tell you how many times people call me, oh, it's just as simple as this. I'm like, I look and I say, man, nothing's ever as simple as this. Because at first, when I first got in the law game, I was like, man, why are we charging so much? Why are we charging people so much? Then as I started working the file, I was like, yeah, I see why we charge people so much. Because we got to come back and fix something that you did or something that you didn't tell us about, like being in bankruptcy or something like that. Then we get a letter from bankruptcy court saying that you in bankruptcy. So now you mad at me because your money tied up. It's like, nah, player, you didn't tell me. Like that probably would have been a great, that's on the questionnaire. Hey, are you in bankruptcy? That's the intake form. Okay? Right. But to answer your question number one, how do you know if you with the right attorney? Just think of it as a relationship, okay? Like whoever your spouse is, you know what your temperament is, you know what you like, you know whether you like to party, whether you like to stay at home, whether you like to go to church on Sunday, Wednesday, Jesus' birthday, all like you know yourself. So you got some attorneys that's not gonna take your call after 5. You got some attorneys like, hey, just call me. Here's my personal cell. Call me. You got some attorneys who's gonna be very verbose. They're gonna talk a lot. And they probably never answer your question. You got some attorneys gonna be very short, quick, and say, "Hey, this is what I can do." You got some attorneys that don't text. Now even that is an issue nowadays. Is one thing? It was one case, and I tell you about this. It was one case in Alabama where a guy was it was an attorney who was hired by a lady for a divorce. And, they were sending inappropriate pictures to each other on Instant Message just a few years ago on Instant Message, not Facebook.
The attorney and the
client was sending inappropriate messages.
Oh.
Well, this was a divorce case. So all the husband did when, the Instant Message popped up, he just started talking to her. And downloaded all the messages, downloaded all the pictures, all that stuff. Wow. And let's just say that person is no longer a licensed attorney. Wow. So even with text messages, some attorneys are scared to text because, we all got passcodes on our phone, but, if you got something that pops up, does that break client attorney privilege?
That's a good point.
And now also I'll tell you this, client attorney privilege, it starts at the consultation. So you don't necessarily have to hire an attorney, but if you start talking to the attorney and y'all engage in the consultation, he can't go tell anybody else about that without your authorization. So that's on any case. So to answer your first question, like how do you know who's the right attorney? It's just more of your personality. And then also some firms just don't have the bandwidth to handle your claim. A simple property transfer, it might seem like a property transfer until you realize it's in your mom's name. And your mom passed away, and nobody probated her estate. So you thinking that you can go sign a piece of paperwork and transfer the deed over. You're like, no, you got to probate that estate because you got siblings, and then you got to go get an order from judge and say that's 1/3 interest. So now that deed is technically 1/3 of everybody's, their property. It's just not just because you're living there doesn't mean that it's just your property, So it like just that simple scenario is something that you want to be able to have an attorney that can break it down. Now I can go into the legalese and go all day, but whatever. But you had a second question, which
I think you answered it in both. And my biggest takeaway from that, because the first question was like, all right, how do you assess even in the initial consultation? It's more on, like you said, communication style, relationship. And also being heard, right? I think there's an element of being heard because you said there may be some attorneys that like to talk, but they ain't really answer your question. So it's like, all right, well, did you even hear what I said, right? And so, and I got to remind myself what the second question was, but I think you touched on both.
Right. It was a really important question.
Yeah.
So important that we can't recall it right
now. But it did directly tie into really the next question that I had was around, all right, initial consultation, I'm filling out an attorney, whatever case you're dealing with. It could be injury, it could be business formation, it could be, and as you just quickly heard, just in him giving an example, it could be in some of the estate planning that you're doing as well. What type of law do you enjoy the most? You said.
Oh yeah. Those, I think,
give me 3 or 4 areas where you said I like dealing with these type of situations.
man, I don't necessarily have a type of law that I like. I think I out of everything I enjoy helping people. I love a conclusion. I love wrapping it up.
Right.
My girlfriend always talks about, you are a let's get it done. I mean, because in my law practice, I own the business, and how do I get paid? Off results.
Right.
And I think for me, personal injury is always going to be colorful, but it's kind of the same thing. Somebody's involved, but some cases might settle, some cases you got to try the case. Probate is a little, I would say, because the person if it's probate, somebody has died. So you have to work with that very, very delicately. You got to make sure that you're not stepping on people's toes. You're not,
That's
you got some folks who were married, then they had a girlfriend, then the girlfriend, they was staying with the girlfriend, and the girlfriend got all this stuff. The girlfriend thinks she's entitled to all this. So you got that.
Right.
So criminal, I do like criminal in the sense of, one, that, they pay cash.
That's a fact. Hey,
I got some cash over there right now. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's over there. That's why my book bag over there. But at the same time, my criminal clients, I think, I ain't gonna say criminal clients, but clients that have criminal cases, because hey, everybody's innocent to proven guilty.
That's exactly right.
I would say when I find, I got some juveniles, and they just in bad situations, man. Like I got one guy is almost like a little brother to me. That I'm like, they owe me money, but I'm like, it's all good. Like, I'm asking him, man, you need me cash app you some money?
Right.
And so I think for me, that's why one of the main reasons why I decided to go out on my own is because I think the bigger firms, because you have such big overhead, you got to go where the money is. But for me, it's like, if I decide I want to take 2 days out to, try a case that I might not ever see the money for, okay, so be it. Let's go. Let's tee this thing on up. And so for me, we ask the question, what is my favorite, what you call like expertise? I would say this: I do like business. I do like business. I mean, I love putting a deal together. I love the contracts and filling the board, the pieces together, and say, hey, I got a client who's purchasing multi-million-dollar this and this business, selling off this business, whatever. I do love that part because it's just something that amazes me. I like that.
Yeah, that's good. That's really good. And what I heard in your response, and I appreciate it, because we're like that with our practice. They say, Isaac, who's your target? We like working with good people, right? Like we want to be able to serve someone that may be an hourly employee, but we also have the acumen and the skill set to serve someone that just signed a multi-million-dollar contract, right? And so that may drive different skill sets and a knowledge based off of the results that they need, depending upon the industry that they're working on. So it sounds like, and I want to give kind of like a few examples, and I'm gonna explain profiles, and the profiles will be like a family, 2-income household, because like we said, law is everywhere, and there is, I would say, a foundational type of checklist of just a legal infrastructure for people should have in place, right? Like if you got dependents, it may be a will. So when we think about the evolution of an individual, right? You get out of college, all right, now I'm working. You may have some dependents, may not. Like what would you say is that checklist of evolution? We could start from single to now you are married with dependents, on what would be important. So I would assume, okay, once you're paid, you're starting to get paid. When does it trigger? All right, I may need to have at least it could be a transactional relationship with an attorney to get something done pretty quick. Or when does that transition? It's probably more on the business side, a relational, type of.
Man, I would say everybody needs to have a pastor and or a counselor. They need to have a financial person, somebody like you. They need to have a lawyer. They need to have a doctor. I'll say those 5 key people. That's what you need to have in your life.
Someone you can text, not just someone you found on LinkedIn. Like someone you got a relationship with that.
Yeah, that you can always run stuff by. Like, hey, man, I got this issue. I had a friend of mine call me last week. He had an issue. And he's a high level. He deals with hundreds of millions of dollars. And, it was a family issue, potentially criminal. But, I gave him the layout, yada, yada, yada. But also, he's helped me out on, on large investment stuff. So, so that's the first and foremost. But what elements that you need to have in place from when you're born to you die? One, I'll say a will. Two, I'll say probably have in that will, if you have dependents, a spring and trust. A spring and trust is basically when you die, a trust is created. And we can go so many different ways with that, but I'm keeping it straight streamlined at this point. Spring and trust, they have all your assets put into, so your spouse that you leave behind is not left in the cold. They might have bad spending habits. I know a lot of people who handle everything in the household, and the spouse is kind of, just kind of like they're the heart of the home. That's it. Not that they can't learn finances or they can't learn what's going on with the business or the property, but they're just heart of the home. And so I think have a will, have a spring of trust, where you're making sure that your kids and families taken care of, or your loved ones who you might be taking care of are good. I would say will, spring of trust. I would also say life insurance. Life insurance, and Coop knows this. Life insurance is the biggest way to transfer and build wealth from generation to generation. That's
a fact.
And he didn't pay me for that. Now that I'm thinking about it, we might need to pause this thing and go ahead and break this contract.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'll say some cash app, or I'll add to the cash that's in the bag.
Right. Straight cash, homie. Straight cash. No, I'm just messing with you. But I'm telling you, I think life insurance has been a saving grace for a lot of people, because even with the estate, I know the state of Alabama is 6 months and can go on forever, really, especially impending litigation. So, that's just a whole nother animal that we're not even going to go down there. So, I would definitely say will, spring and trust, or even a living trust. If you got a lot of assets you're trying to avoid, the Irish, the alphabet boys, having a trust can save you from that, those taxes, those, what's called the death tax, we call it. But it's they call it Irish, call it something else colorful. We say the folks want to take your money after you die.
Right.
But you don't have to worry about that till I think you get to about 11 mil worth net worth. So, but you never know. I would also say, if you got an idea, don't be scared to patent something. Don't be scared to trademark something, because if it came to you naturally, and you probably talk to you and your boys, you and your girls about something, it's probably catchy. Man, patent it, and then you can always pick it up later or something like that. I got a client who has a podcast, and they patent the podcast, and lo and behold, out of the whole nother country, somebody named another podcast the same exact word, and you're like, man, that is just. I would have never thought somebody else outside the country or anywhere would have thought this name. Right. So I would say that'd be a big thing. Patent, trademark your stuff, because that stuff, somebody else can pick it up and run with it. You got a little kid or something like that. But those are just some of the basic things. Would say. That's good. I would say do that. I can go on and on, but those are just the basic for you, I would say.
Yeah, that's really good. I think I'm glad you mentioned, of course, the will, the role the trust could play. As you said, it play multiple roles. In life insurance, y'all know I talk about life insurance. It's not a sexy conversation, but it is a guaranteed event that we are all gonna have to visit. Death is batting 1,000. So right. It's been hitting home runs since it showed up. So how do we leverage something that's guaranteed, but also how do we protect it, right? And we've seen situations where families have that unfortunate, demise of a member that had played a major role, but they did not have the insurance in place. So it's already an emotional disaster, and now it's a financial one, right? Yep. And so that's the last thing you want to be dealing with. And then as well, as Ronnie mentioned, and this is a great segue into some of the business law and legal infrastructure that needs to be in place. Like, you have an idea, let's protect it, right? Like, if trademarking it, patenting it. So let's continue with that. Those that do have ideas, y'all want to start a business. We've seen a ton of memes in the midst of the pandemic. Yo, get you an EIN number, you're going to own 10 McDonald's by next month. Like, all these different.
I'm gonna tell you, the pandemic has been good for me on the trademark and patent side. Lord
Right.
Jesus.
Yes, sir.
Everybody got an idea. You like, man, well, you know what I was gonna take? You like, you got to be very specific.
Right.
They're like, man, I just want to throw some color on the wall, and I added pink to it, so I want this color. Like, okay.
All right. So when we think about the business formation, of course, LLC is typically the, shooting from the hip. I'm gonna start in LLC, right? There's different, we don't got to get too deep into it. S corp, C corp. There's, 100 shareholders, C corp, double taxation. There's some technical components that we don't got to get into immediately. Right. But what the clients you've worked with thus far in business formation, what are some of the best practices that you've been able to see and implement for them?
I would say I've been getting a lot of nonprofit work. On the civil side too, y'all need to stop trying to take over these churches, man. Stop trying to take these folks' churches, man. Oh my God! But I have a lot of people come with on the business side want to do a lot of nonprofit work.
Okay.
Is the specific reason why you want to open a nonprofit in Alabama, but we're not gonna go on that because I don't want to be pegged on that one, but.
Tell me about that offline. We're gonna talk about that offline.
Right.
What are you talking about?
But I've been getting a lot of nonprofit work. I was saying, hey, if you starting a company, whether it's a professional company, LLC, Sears LLC, all that stuff, run it like a company, man.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Like, because I'm gonna tell you, I can't tell you how many deals that folks could have gotten and have gotten on a humbug.
Yeah.
He was like, man, this one girl came down to Mobile County and did a teaching on how to work an iPhone to all the government officials down there. She was in New York. Guess what she did? She was a barista at Starbucks and made 10 bands. You know what I'm saying? Like what? No certifications or nothing.
Right.
So, you talking about, you can make, I saw on TikTok the other day, this guy has a not mobile, but it's like a small dog wash area. So basically, just take this table, about the size of this table. He got a shop vac that hooks up to a hole, got water, and keep the water at room temperature. And he got heavy ass shampoos. They have, oatmeal shampoo, something else.
Right.
And he's charging $10 for 10 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what? I'm telling you, you can make money on so many different ways. That's one reason why I do like business, because it's man, you can go so many different ways with it. So when you ask my advice, and I said, man, patent or trademark it, I'm just like, man, you just I guarantee it's been 1,000 people who thought about, man, you know what? It need to be a quick. I ain't going ahead and just wash my dog out. I don't have to worry about putting my dog in the tub, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you would have just patented it for, a small fee. You patent it, and then somebody come over and say, oh, no.
Right.
Pay me my money.
That's right.
Pay me my money. I'll let you use it for a small percentage.
Right.
And let's say that pops up. Let's say you got 50 states, and you get 10 in each state. That's 500. Then 10% of 500. Let's say the dude making $3,000 a month. You just making $300 a month times, I said 10 times 50, 500.
Yeah.
All off for patent.
Right. That's good. That's so good, because when you think about a business or an idea, it should be valuable enough to where you want to protect it, right? And it should be different enough to an extent, right? Because at the end of the day, we're sitting in here, we see two different versions of chairs,
right?
And it may be two different producers. The consensus is people need somewhere to sit down, right? Yep. The difference is a style. One got arms, one got a different color, and so there should be a some level of individualism within your service offering, to where you say, all right, I need to protect it. And then two, as you mentioned, is actually why I enjoy working with business owners, because in some form of fashion, they're solving a problem. In some form of fashion, you see something to where, they're not making good cheeseburgers. Let me show you how to put this patty together. Man, they're not, so the problem they're solving, they just need the structure around it from a protection standpoint to be able to grow, to be able to scale. And that's why you got to have that advisory council with you. So with some of the business formation, nonprofit formation, by the end of this year, and I know you blowing up, bro. He got 2 phones over here now.
Oh yeah,
two, and I think there's 2 more in the bag.
Hey man, you gotta stay connected, baby. You gotta stay connected.
What are you looking to get accomplished by the end of this year? What's a good close of the year for you since we're in this 4th quarter?
Man, that is a good question. My original goal for this year was to make it a year, and my admin, my firm administrator. I want you to understand, my firm administrator, Joy, and they gonna say her last name because she's big on Facebook.
Shout out Joy.
Oh my God. She started with me last year. I had my firm for 4 years. Well, over 4 years. Yeah, just over 4 years.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it. But she was my first hired employee.
Wow.
And so you're like, man, like, I hope I can pay this girl
right.
for a year. You know
I
what
know
I'm saying?
exactly.
You're like, man, boy, this is a big step.
Man,
and she a sister too, like a sister. Yeah. Like, you ain't finna miss no paycheck
That's
with this
right.
girl, right? And so you're like, man, like, I see in my head, I know what God has told me.
Right.
I know, that's one thing I would say I've always kept constant in my life. Even though all my degrees, everybody think I did it to stun on people. I mean, I stand in my own skin. So
talk to me.
Talk to me. But you see these guns right here?
Yes,
just got my permit today. Just got my permit today. I'm just messing with you.
Yes, sir.
But then grown to 7 employees.
Man.
Within a year.
That's a big deal, bro.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when you ask the question, man, of what's my goal, man, I think for me, my goal is to, I've already broken the $1 million mark already, so that's a done deal. Mm-hmm. I did that a long time ago. But I would say, man, just keep growing, add more lawyers, qualified lawyers, and I'm big on helping people around me grow. Mm-hmm. I would say, I get joy off seeing like, man, I had something to do with that. Not like, oh man, he wouldn't be here without me. Nothing like that. But more so of, man, he said he needed this, I provided it, and he accomplished it. You know what I'm saying? And I think in all that we do, I feel like you're the same way, because I know with your nonprofit work, sitting on the boards and stuff like that, and you have some of the changes with that stuff. You kind of just want to really have effective change, because we've already passed that point of resume building. Okay?
Right.
We got families, we got responsibilities, so we passed that. But now I think we're just at that stage, and probably forever be at the stage of wanting to see other people grow and want to have effective change. Right. So the goal for me, man, is just keep building the practice, make sure my folks are good. Make more money, what I'm saying?
Nothing wrong with that.
So I can get on that yacht.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
They pull out the G8, 800. I saw somebody post that yesterday. Your boy wants one.
Oh, that's good. And there is, what's consistent is your posture on giving, right? And what we can see is that, even I remember it may have been like 9 years ago, they said, Isaac, just look at the visual of giving, right? You have to extend your hand. You have to open your hand. But that's the only way you're going to be able to receive, right? Mm-hmm. And so that reception, as we can see here, is displaying just to be able to not only build a business to take care of other people, right, and on what their needs are, but build an infrastructure to where other people can be a part of that process as well. And that's that team and that staff. All right, so one last question before we transition, and I don't need to give him the heads up that, hey, make sure you share your information at the end, because he done did it all the way through.
Come on now. 205-222-9815. Follow me on social media. Get Rice now. GETRICENOW. Or man, just throw a Batman sign in the sky. Hey, we flying, baby.
Man, look. And that wasn't even an invitation to give it. You just
why not? Hey, keep listening. I'm gonna come back at you.
That's right. So as all of our planners know, the foundation of the Planning Podcast, we are very intentional on how we spell planning. And as you know, I'm rocking my merchandise. And so as he's giving pubs, I need pub myself.
Right.
www.stateplanning.com. Make sure you grab you a tee, a bib, it's winter season, so we're gonna update,
Right.
our catalog there. But
Come on, man.
can I get my sentence out? Jeez,
Man,
Louise.
well, let me, he do a great job. Let me tell you, man. Isaac, man, is the silent killer, man. He's surgical with this thing, man. One thing that I like about you, bro, is that every time I meet you, one, you got a smile on your face. You always gonna have a joyous spirit. But second thing, man, you are always cold blooded with it. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, hey, man. I talk about, hey, man, I got these student loans, like, which he, yeah, all them degrees sounded good. Yeah. But he was like, nah, what we gotta do is we gotta get into it, we gotta dig into it, man. Like how many loans you got, who they with, okay, how we wanna do a snowball effect, we wanna do this. Like the man is surgical with this thing, man. And so, whether you are trying to operate in this field or if you just need somebody to talk to financially, he's one of the only financial advisors that I've talked to who wasn't like, hey, here's your intake information. What's your net worth, and we'll get back with you later.
Yeah.
And you like, man, like, nah, bro, I want my money to be jumping out the gate. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, all right, man, so let's talk about this. So I see that you spent. We had this conversation, I think, earlier last year. I see that you spent. We ain't gonna talk about how much money at a certain spot. It wasn't a strip club. I don't do strip clubs.
That's right.
At least I don't say it on it. I'm just listening to it. No, I don't do strip clubs. But he was like, I see you spent a guap at this particular place, and that's cool and everything. But hey, man, we gotta pull it back, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to spend that much. You know what I'm saying? So the man's surgical with it, man. I'm telling you, man, this is a guy that I think everybody needs to have this corner. I think if you guys don't get hold to him now, man, he gonna be on a level where you're gonna have to be talking to his assistant. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not that he would want to do that theoretically in his mind and spiritually, but he just don't have enough time today to handle it.
Yeah.
And so, man, you got this jewel, man. I thank you, brother. I thank you for
Appreciate
always
you, bro.
blessing. I thank you for always listening to my shenanigans and crap. But man, definitely plug him up, man. Planning, estate plan. What'd you say?
Estateplanning.com.
Man, that's a whole lot, man. We're gonna talk about his website.
I appreciate it. But I do appreciate that. That is, I'm grateful. I receive it, and we're gonna continue to do it. And I think that's why we have kindred spirits, because the focus at the end of the day is to make sure we help people, not in a transactional way, to where it could literally transform their situation.
Yep.
And so with planning, PL, we replaced the A and put a delta sign.
Mm-hmm.
And so in mathematics, if y'all paid attention in geometry or whatever, delta represented change, right? And so we said, okay, all right. We know at the end of the day, anything that is transformational, when we think about a change, the foundation of that is writing down a planning.
Mm-hmm.
Give us an example on how planning was transformative with the decision that you had to make.
Man, that hit home, boy. That sounds like a sermon right there.
Come on, I laid that thing up, baby.
Right. Turn to the book of Hesitations, chapter 3, verse 5. God said, delta. Change.
That's right.
Now, what's the Greek root word of
Talk
change?
to me. Yeah.
Delta. I'm sorry, guys. Hey, we might have to cut another podcast for.
Man, come on now. We're going to do part 2, 3, or 4, man.
But I'm going to tell you, everybody who's known me, I've had several businesses, even when I was with Shannara.
Right.
That's my guy. I love him. Call him. He might not pick up because he just ain't going to pick up. He just don't answer phones like that. But text him. He going to hit you back. Or when we see each other, we hang out or whatever. Good guy. Great. Very was a foundation. One of my key people in my life. But for me, planning was always in my brain, because even when I started with him, I said, I just want to learn business so I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
That was, literally, that's the reason why I volunteered. And without that type of planning, and I had bumps and bruises in the way. I got divorced, had a child, had to downsize to a small apartment, had to change what kind of car I was driving, had to change my spending habits, all that stuff. But it was all because I had a plan.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Like, if you look at me on social media, you're like, man, this dude is posting 7 times a day, and I post 7 times a day, and I have a schedule for my posts.
Yeah.
And I have a purpose for at least three out of those 7 posts. Yeah. One post is gonna be blog, one post is gonna be my podcast, One post is gonna be about a client, you know. And I think when we joke around, like you see, Isaac and I joke around, we thinking like, man, these dudes are just straight hood, man. Ronnie like he work out, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But I think what people I think underestimate with people like us is that we kind of are just those people. But we going home at night, boy. We'll write a business plan. We'll be on the phone. I'm on the phone last night to 9 o'clock working a $4 million deal.
Right.
Working another, hopefully $100 million, no, $3 to $5 million that's gonna parlay to a $100 million deal.
There we go.
But it's like I'm surgical with it, and it literally takes my staff, my team, my girlfriend, my parents, my siblings to take you understand. Like, I don't quite understand what the hell you do, but what you doing, how you explain it, I understand it.
Right.
But I'm like, because that's only one segment of the plan.
Yeah. Right.
And when people say, "Oh man, it's starving lawyers out there," I was like, man, I made 5 figures a month into me becoming a lawyer. Once again, that was planning.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He's like, hey, let me wait till these Barbies come out. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Then I'm gonna turn this faucet on.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you gotta sit down and be truthful to yourself. And I they always talk about the SMART plan, which is, I think it's like, make sure it's reasonable, timeable, all that, achievable.
Yeah, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and then timely.
Timely.
Yep.
And I think that's a good method, but
yeah,
of planning just in general. But I think it's one thing to sit here and talk about it amongst your friends, talk about boys, girls, whatever. But it's another thing to sit down, like you said, sit down and write it down. Like, hey, all right, what would it take for me to start making chairs? Mm-hmm. All right. Do you know anything about chairs? No. All right, you call the manufacturer, say, okay, what's the most popular chair, blah, blah, blah. The manufacturer say, I'll do it for you, but you have to place an order of $100,000. Do you have $100,000 worth to do? You might don't. Then you got to find your financing. Do you have good credit? You don't have good credit? Guess what? Work on your credit.
That's good.
Then while you're doing that, what you're doing is saving your duckies, down the road. Then you start developing your relationship with chair companies.
Good.
And you say, man, how do I get in the door with chair companies? You're like, well, do you really have to set a chair company, or you set an office space? Then you just start cold calling, walking around downtown, saying, and just going to, hey man, your chairs look like hey man, I got these chairs, man, for Lowski Woski, yada yada yada. And but the delivery time is gonna be 9 months. In your mind, it only takes 1 month to do it, but you got to get your financing because you got to get your credit up. So you got about a 6-month window. So you say, hey, 9 months. Trust me, if it looks like that now, 9 months. Can I get your commitment?
Right.
If I get your commitment, I'm giving you 30% off. That's how you do it. I mean, that's just one play. Wow. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of smoke.
Yeah, you freestyled that.
Right. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying, I mean, you can make. I've seen so many people make money off different stuff, man, and so you can do it, man.
Yeah, that's beautiful, and what I appreciate about that response is that Ronnie mentioned a number of things that changed. But one thing that didn't change was the ongoing planning, and that's really, you really just, and this is the first time I'm saying it verbally and actually thinking these words in the sequence. But the true value of planning is knowing things are going to change. Ooh, change is inevitable. You know what I'm saying? And so having that ongoing posture of, all right, I want to make some chairs. Okay, let me call the manufacturer. Oh, I got to have 100,000. All right. You're still planning. Things are changing, right? But you don't stop.
Man, bro, remember, we met years ago. I mean, when you was down on 280.
Yeah, that's right.
And I remember, man, I had some money, but I ain't had no money like I got now. Mm-hmm. But I was like, man, I like how he just took time to blah, blah. That's going to be my guy. Yeah. I say, when I hit a lick, or when I think I'm about to hit a lick, or whatever, I'm going to make sure whatever. So guess what? It behooves me to stay in contact with this brother. Because he going to handle my stuff. Yeah. It's just going to be a point at what point at that point is, what's the specific date he going to start handling my stuff. Right. But that was back, 5, 8. Yeah. I mean, I've been in Birmingham since 2012, so it might have been 2012 sometime.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you, what he's saying, let me put it like this. It's always good to talk to somebody whose mom and daddy gave me the money, okay? It's another thing you go talk and listen to some folks who built it themselves.
Yeah.
Now I'm not saying we obviously had help, but why sit here and try to? Oh, let me go buy this book from such and such. Man, he's like Tony Robbins. I love the guy. I read his books. I listen to his podcast. Great guy. But man, he on a whole nother level right now. Yeah. And you might want to get to somebody you can touch. Like, hey man, I read the book. However, I got some more questions. Yeah. I need to get more in depth. Yeah. And you need to ask somebody like Coop. I'm sorry, Mr. Isaac Coop.
No man, you good, man. It's funny. I know someone has either spoken to a close friend of mine. If they say, "Hey, yo, what up, Coop? Hey, how you know about that?"
Right,
you know what I'm
saying? Right. That's what I did the other day. I was like, "Man, what's up, Coop?" They was like, "Man, dude over here, I smoke cigars. Dude over here on the side, Courtney King."
Shout out Courtney. What up,
Courtney? I think he with Regents. I think.
Yeah. And shout out TA. CMOG.
CMOD.
DOD.
Cigar Man of Distinction.
Yeah. My bad.
CMOD. Cigar Man Distinction.
That's
we have
right.
an event coming up in October. Well, I guess it's this month. But we give back to the community. But I smoke cigars, baby.
Yeah.
I got to try to get Isaac on it, but it's life insurance policy. Don't come.
That's right. That's right. And the way I answered the application, I don't think that'll be good for me.
Right.
So look. So we're finishing up.
Yeah.
It's we got a classic coming up. It's your alma mater this weekend. Morehouse in Tuskegee.
Yeah. Well, as a football guy, you already know. You probably, if you look at the statistics, it's not in our favor. However, I got faith in my own maroon and white.
There you go.
That we gonna prevail, and hopefully that Atlanta has slipped enough money to the Tuskegee coach. That we can win this thing. By the way, big shout out to Randall Wolfen for winning the election. He's a Morehouse brother. I graduated Morehouse College. Talk about planning. Some stuff you can't plan. Having a mayor, you went to Morehouse. You got another mayor of Montgomery's Morehouse, and probate judge in Montgomery Morehouse. We got a Rhodes Scholar who just came here, which you probably need to have him on your show, man. He just moved here from Jersey because he said cost of living was just so much.
Yeah, let's do that.
I think he was paying like $3,000 or $6,000 a month for rent or something.
No way, Jose. Yes, sir. Yeah, move down south. Yeah. So. That's good. Well, that's good. Well, this has been, I know the audience is going to enjoy this. I definitely enjoyed this. I smiled 65% of the time from just laughing. And if y'all could have saw 36 minutes prior to...
You would have saw sweat, curse words.
Oh Lord! And then and then when it took to fix the problem, sometimes you just gotta press the button.
Hey, you know what? That's another service, man. Hey, you know what? I'm going like God has placed it now. Like sometimes you just gotta plug the microphone in. That's rule number one. And two, you just gotta press the button. You can have your whole life can change, man.
There we go.
I guarantee you. I know it sounds funny, man, but. Man, if you want to change your life, whether it's financial, legally, whatever, and this reason why I said, and I never finished my spiel on the MLB, Motivation Law Business, is I see a lot of people in our state and they need that motivation. They, whether they've been in jail, whether they've been in a car accident, whether they just loved one just died, they're trying to open a state. You just got to motivate, you got to encourage them. And then the business comes in and we got to handle our business. No matter what you're going through, you got to handle your business, man.
Yeah.
So sometimes your business is plug it in.
That's right. That's right.
That's right. I know you're frustrated. I know you're crying. I know mama died. And I know, your car you just paid off, just got crushed. But sometimes you got, plug it in and press the button.
Hit the button.
Yeah.
Look at that. Hey, that's why you need to have an attorney that can think quick on their feet. He quickly put that together and then tied in his little theme. You know what I'm saying? Right. Look, you heard I said that little theme.
What my little $20? Hey, have y'all ever noticed your $20 ain't little, ain't funky until they gotta give it back?
That's right. Like they calculating inflation. Well, it's really 18, 20. Bruh. Right. So, well, this is good. Appreciate you again, my brother.
Appreciate you.
Hey, make sure y'all subscribe, stay tuned, and as you already know, stay planning.
Easy to forget all the noble words you said when you get down to the bottom.